Hey everybody! Well, today is August 2nd, 2017, and it's hard to believe that it has been 37 years since August 2nd ever mattered to me. In August 2nd of 1980, I was pregnant at 16 years old, and I already knew that I would be putting my daughter up for adoption, but I didn't know it was a girl. What I didn't know I was about to face by the end of that day was that my older sister would be arrested that evening and booked on charges that would wind up causing her to serve 28 years in prison. So she's been out now for 9 years, and we've been enjoying her freedom. However, the day that she was arrested, my father was working in Israel. My mom stayed home with me and my younger sister, and we were facing my sister about to get arrested. My teen pregnancy wasn't very cool either to be dealing with for my poor mom. But when my sister got arrested that day, something happened to me, and I believe that it's heartbreaking to kind of remember all of that pain, but I remember that day as being a lie. That's when I realized the world was just full of lies. Just lies and lies and lies. Everything was a lie. Everything that I thought was true and solid and real was fake and lying and manipulation and coercion and all these other horrible words that I could put to life. I didn't believe anybody anymore. I didn't trust anybody anymore. And I had no direction whatsoever at that point. I still had dreams and ambitions, but they seemed so far away from anything that I ever really truly thought I could accomplish that I quit. I kind of quit life, and I drifted. I drifted for a long time. I did wind up putting the baby up for adoption and tried to move forward with my life. I wound up dropping out of high school, sort of. I took the high school proficiency exam, which is like the GED. But I realized when I went back to public school after having the baby that students were not very nice. And they said a lot of really mean things. And I just took it all extremely personal. And for any confidence that I had prior to that time in my life, I had none. So fast forward, I wound up getting married, had 3 beautiful children, and during that time, I found out in 1990 is when I found out that the birth father for my daughter was not who I thought she was. That's how kind of messy my life was back then in my teenage years. All I knew was his first name. I didn't know his last name. So for the next 20 years, I spent a lot of energy trying to find him. I asked all the friends that I knew from the past. Every time I saw them, every time I ran into them at the skating rink, anytime I could email somebody. But at first, initially during the search, there wasn't we didn't have internet, and it was really hard to find connections with all those people. So I exhausted many of my friends with asking them the same question over and over through the years, over 20 years time. And one day in October of 2010, my father passed away. My mom had been gone for many years already, and matter of fact, I was figuring out today it's been 20 years or so that she's been gone. So in 2011, my father passed away, and that Christmas, about a week before Christmas, my daughter's birthday was coming up, and I called her after laying on the floor crying my eyes out, and I told her I just couldn't continue searching for him anymore. It was physically making me ill. I felt like a disappointment. I felt like a failure again. and I didn't know what other rocks to turn. I just had to quit. I had to quit for now and give myself permission to stop. So when I got up from the phone with her, I just heard God tell me, well, it's about time that you stop, and how about you just let me do it from here? Well, I know that He's a God of miracles, and I knew that He could do more in His timing than I could in my timing and my efforts. So I let it go. Well, a couple of months later, my youngest daughter, Caitlin, and we went to the roller skating rink, and we bumped into a friend that I hadn't seen since back in those old roller skating days, 30-some years earlier. And we connected, and once my daughter figured out what era I knew him from, she says, why don't you ask him about Sarah? Ask him about Sarah's dad. Well, I didn't want to. Everything was keeping me from it. And yet I just knew in my heart of hearts that I needed to eat some humble pie again and tell the story again and see if he had any insight at all. So he started saying, ask me what, ask me what. She didn't know that he was like the biggest gossip person that we knew, and that he just loved all these stories. So I said, so Louie, you remember that guy Tony from the skating rink back in those days? And he's like, oh yeah, he says he dated my sister for years, and his parents lived by my parents. And I couldn't believe what my ears were hearing. I shut everything off. If he said anything else than that, I don't even know, because my all I could hear God tell me in my head was, I used a donkey once. I can use anybody. I can tell any message I want to anybody any way they need to hear it. So that's how I found out his last name. So the next day, I got to make this phone call to him and say, 30 years ago, there's a possibility that you have a 30-year-old daughter that you don't know about, So that was really interesting conversation. So fast forward several years. It took several years to convince him to do a DNA test, but he finally did. And we got the results on July 30th of 2013. So it's been 4 years, and on August 2nd that year, that very week, I felt like that task that I had of finding him, I was the only bridge that she had to finding him. There was no possible way she could have done it, ever. There's no way. So being able to find him for her was kind of like the last thing on my checklist of human things that I had told myself were important to do in my life for people. So that night I remember standing at a conference, worship conference in town at the local convention center, and I was just worshiping, and I closed my eyes, and I just heard the Lord tell me, I know what today is, and I hadn't even realized what the date was, August 2nd. My sister had been out of prison for a few years. I kind of, with all the excitement of my daughter finding her dad and making that connection with him, I really had kind of passed up the day. I didn't even think about it. But the second I heard him say that in my spirit, I was like, oh wow, that is today, and I didn't even have any negative feelings about it. And I just heard him say, this is your last task that you created for yourself to do. And now that's over. So how about if you step across this imaginary line, this line in the sand, and just prophetically step over it and just leave the past behind. Everything's done. It's all done. You're done. It's my time. It's time for you to do those things that I want you to do. And I said, okay, show me what it is that you want. And literally there was like this video clip that went across my face, and there were so many images and so much life in it, and I couldn't see how it was all connected. I wanted to rewind it and go frame by frame by frame, but that's not what he wanted me to see. He just wanted me to see there was a lot of purpose and a lot of reason for me to move forward and to trust him. And I don't really know why I'm telling this story today, except that it's kind of I feel like it's kind of a close the book on that section of my life story and really dig in deep. It's been 4 years. Literally, after that weekend, so July 30th, 2013 is when we got the results back. The very next day was the first time they talked to each other on the phone. That Friday night was when I had this moment with the Lord. And the following Monday, she went to San Diego with her husband, and she got to meet her dad for the first time, and they spent a whole week together. And just within 2 months of that time, by the end of September, her and her husband were off to Thailand, and they've been missionaries there for 4 years ever since. This coming September will be 4 years. It's pretty amazing to me that it's pretty amazing that God will do such huge things for us, even when we really don't deserve them. It's interesting how He works all these things together for our good. I know that creating the center for the girls is such a huge piece of my heart's desire, to be able to serve them in a positive way, to just be able to provide an environment where they can just get comfortable with who they are in the Lord and not feel any shame or get degraded because they're pregnant. We all make mistakes. We all sin, and I say unfortunately, but not really unfortunately. It's amazing that God chose these girls to have His babies. We never know what's going to happen. We never know what God has in store. I never in a million years would have thought my daughter would be a missionary. I felt like I don't know. I just wanted her to be healthy and happy and be raised by great parents, But even that didn't turn out the way that we had planned. They were good people, but they divorced when she was 14. Her mom died when she was 16, the mother that raised her. And, we spent time together. I got to watch her graduate. I got to watch her get married and go to college and all these really amazing things that I never thought was going to happen. And she started calling me mom when she was 19. Boy, if you don't think that was a blessing, oh, I cried for like a week, I think. And longer and more often when I thought about it. And then when I thought about that specific thing, that she started calling me mom when she was 19, probably the ugliest part of my life still hadn't even come yet. And God gave it to me anyway. So, His grace and His mercy and His love for us is bigger than we can even imagine. I mean, He has so many amazing things planned for us. And even though we think we're planning out our life, what's the joke? Make your plan and watch God laugh. That's how you can make God laugh, by planning out everything. So, I don't know who this message is for today. All I know is that, God equals hope, and He will be for you. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. If you just will believe in Him, He will make mountains move. He will give me a ranch. He gave me a car about a month ago. So I know that He will do big and mighty things. He will do amazing things when we least expect it. He'll bring you your partner, even when it doesn't look like what you expect. He will bring you amazing miracles, amazing people in your life, and teach you how to receive His love. And once you start to receive His love, then you become a fountain. You can't help but give it out and just constantly give it out, because you can't hold it all. It's so great. So I just wanted to share that story. It's my August 2nd story. I don't have many days that are that momentous in my life, but God has turned it all around to be one of the most amazing days of my life. And I just wanted to share that with you today. I hope you have a blessed day, blessed week. Whenever you get a chance to listen to this, I hope that you will find some hope in your situation, and that you'll just love other people and let God love you. Talk to you soon. Bye.